Hi, Tacoma. I'm Mrs. Oslin.
And I'm Mrs. Wally. Welcome back to TV Classroom.
We have been learning a lot of social emotional learning skills.
This time we're going to talk about stopping and thinking. It's a really, really important skill and maybe one of the hardest.
Yes. Now, our team cooperation goals are goals that everyone all across Tacoma is working on. And one of them is active listening.
Explain your ideas.
Everyone participates.
Help and encourage others.
And complete tasks. Let's review active listening.
Yep.
That means eyes watching. Ears listening.
Voice is quiet unless it's time to talk and process.
Yes. And then your body is focused. Press pause. Make sure you have your active listening posture and press play when you're ready. We learned about the feelings tree.
The feelings tree.
Yeah.
It's a place we can hang lots of feelings.
Lots of feelings. Now this says sad, mad, and happy. Those are three pretty general feelings, but we know as we're getting older, we can start to name a lot more feelings and be very precise, attend to precision with our language. We also have been learning how to use I messages. Now, I message tells other people how you feel and why.
And it's a really great way to communicate how you're feeling when someone does something to you, so they can understand why you're feeling that way.
We also have learned to pay close attention to how strongly you're feeling your emotions.
Right, because using an I message when you're at a 5 is probably not a great idea because you're not in a space where you can really identify your feelings and communicate them effectively.
And we also learned about the stop and stay cool steps. We learned to say, I feel like I'm losing control, to stop. Give yourself a chilly hug. Breathe, and then hopefully, after some breaths, you're cool and ready to use your I message.
Yes.
Now, when do we need to stop and think?
Oh, that's a good question.
So you're going to take some think time. Press pause, and then press play when you think you know when we need to stop and think.
Well, when I'm having a really big feeling.
Why?
Because big feelings cloud my judgment. That means I can't make the best choices when I'm having those big feelings. My amygdala is taken over in my brain, and I'm no longer really making decisions that are going to be good for me and the people around me necessarily. And so then I start making decisions based on my feelings versus based on what's best for the situation. And that can end up really bad. And sometimes can end up hurting others.
I was also thinking about Mr. Kevin.
Oh, I was just going to ask, so what is the amygdala?
Oh, it's a part of your brain that is like your feeling control center. And when it gets really activated, when you have a big feeling, it kind of takes over.
So it's not necessarily bad.
No, it has a purpose. But when there's too much emotion, it can be, whether it's excitement or anger, it can make you do things that you wouldn't normally otherwise do.
It means that your amygdala is in charge as opposed to the good decision-making part of your brain.
Yeah, the frontal lobe. So the back of your brain becomes in charge versus the front of your brain.
Good question. I was also thinking a time to stop and think is when I know I'm going to learn something new or hear something important.
Helps me limit distractions.
Yeah. So, okay, so we know when, but how? What do we actually do?
Right, because telling me to stop and think doesn't help me much.
No.
I need to know how to do it.
Yeah, and what's happening while you're thinking?
Right.
So let's do some thinking.
Okay.
How do you stop and think? What do you do or think? Press pause, and then press play when you're ready.
Well, I have what I call an internal voice. And I've learned recently that not everyone has an internal voice and not everyone can view pictures in their brain. Like some people, their brains don't work that way. But I like talk to myself, which sounds funny, but I'm like, you can do it. and like, and I think through that.
Yeah. So we've used the term positive self-talk. So it sounds like
yes,
similar to that. Yeah. I will take deep breaths. And actually, I'm doing it right now. I'm finding myself like kind of pinching my finger.
Interesting.
And that helps me focus. That's so funny. I was like, what do I do when I stop and think? And then I stopped and thought and was like, well, I'm doing it right now.
I have this look on my face I get. It's like, my brother and sister call it my thinking face.
Oh, yeah.
So when I'm like really in deep thought or I'm really focused on something, I get my thinking face.
You can tell. Interesting. Mr. Kevin, what do you do when you stop and think, or when you know you need to?
I'll demonstrate.
You kind of make a face too, huh?
I do. I make a face and my tongue might stick out a little.
Mr. Wally does that. I also kind of like look up. I like a null point up top like this.
Oh, yeah.
I do that a lot when I'm thinking.
Interesting. So some other ideas that you might have thought, look, self-talk.
Yep.
Also, using those stop and stay cool steps help us to calm down. Take a break. That's one that I need to remind myself to do instead of pushing through when I'm feeling a strong feeling or I get really confused or something. Just take a break.
We're good at when we have our work day, each of us will kind of get to a point where like, hey, let's go on a walk. And we kind of force each other to stop and take a break for a second so we can keep thinking.
Tell myself to wait. This is when I was thinking about if you are talking and I have an idea and I'm really excited, like I might be a 4 or a 5, excited, ready to share my thinking. I should tell myself, wait, listen to Mrs. Wally.
And not be as impulsive. Mrs. Wally's not very good at that when I have an idea. Because I think if I don't say it, it's, well, here's why. Because in my brain, if I don't say it, a lot of times it will actually disappear and then it's gone.
Yep.
And so I'm like, I gotta say it, otherwise it's gonna disappear. But then I just like interrupt everybody all the time. So I work on it.
I noticed you have she gives me a signal.
I do. It's actually for me.
Yeah.
I put the thought here and it like, don't forget, talk about making the plan. But the problem is when I do this, guess what I'm not doing much of?
Listening.
Yeah.
Listening. Oh. And do you ever think, why do I have my finger on my nose?
No, because it's very purposeful when I put it there.
Okay.
Like it's a reminder. So what I've started doing is writing down and then just putting my finger on my nose to remind myself to look back and then I can actually listen.
There you go. I like that.
That's a good strategy.
You can also breathe deeply, more self-talk. Press your lips together.
Yes.
That might help it just from blurting out. And I think I like this last one. Ask a teammate or friend to give me a signal when I'm forgetting to stop and think.
Miss Osland does that for me. She kind of looks at me like, Ms. Wally. Or she'll say, can I finish my thought? And that's a good clue for me. Like, oh, shoot, you just like bowled right over. Of course, Ms. Osland. But we have that relationship, right? Where she knows she can say that to me and that's my cue. Like, zip it, Wally. Right? Yeah.
So I don't think we need to practice. Do you think?
No, I think we've gone through it.
Okay, that's what I thought. So today we learned how to stop and think. Lots of different strategies. Pick one to help you stop and think this week.
Which one will work best for you?
I'm going to practice taking a break.
I love it. And I'm going to really practice making sure people have gotten all their thoughts out before I talk, which means I might have to write it down.
All right, Tacoma, excellent job today thinking and feeling with us. We hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.
All right, friends. Bye.